Senator Wieckowski come up. He's from District 10, which is encompasses Alameda and Santa Clara.
I gotta flip this on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming out here. This is, it was rather lonely doing ADU legislation in 2016. Just to give you guys a little history, I'm a state senator, and I have authored about 4 bills on ADUs. 3 of them have been successful. And it all started, I guess I could say this is homeowners and regular people. I was pissed off about the lack of production of ADUs and the barriers that cities had produced. I served as a planning commissioner in Fremont. We had this bill in 2002, back in 2002, that required all the cities to develop secondary unit ordinances. So the cities had to go out and create ordinances with the idea the state back, at Y2K, we had problems with housing. We said, we want you guys to produce these ordinances. So the next part of the sentence, you produce more units. And we all know what happened. 0. Nothing got built. I have a quote that for 26 years in Santa Barbara, 13 units got built in 26 years from like 1992 to 2016, because the planning commission, the planning department, the whole gobbledygook with the county and the city said, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do this. You have to have parking. You have to have replacement parking when you put your unit up. So we introduced the first bill. It was 1069. You hear people, I don't want to get everybody confused with numbers, but that was the first bill. Richard Bloom had a bill also about alleys and detached garages in sort of a Santa Monica bit. But the first legislation was trying to say, here are these barriers. Well, first we defined them as accessory dwelling units. Now they got it from our friends up in Oregon, because instead of saying a second unit, it's like the energy department guys over there, you say it's a second unit, all of a sudden all these codes come in. We say, no, they're not a secondary unit, they're accessory to the mother house. And I would we were here 3 years ago, Greg Nicholas is gonna be on with the State Department of Housing and Community Development. We have in this new bill, SB 13 that we got, allows the cities must clear through the state whether their laws are in compliance. Because we just found, and San Diego's actually, in their defense, they've done some really nice things, as San Jose and Santa Rosa. There's some cities that are working, but these people know how to get to know. They know how to get to know. So what we say we want to get to yes. We want to streamline this process. So the big chunk, I guess, the idea that occurred in 2016 was that, 1, it was accessory. So you had an absolute right to build a unit on your property. Hello, that was a big deal. And we had, I had to take some amendments. It had to be within a half mile of transit, not major transit. The major transit is like the fixed rail that you guys have, but just a bus stop. Because they had, Yuba City, California, they got 1 bus. 3 times a day comes in from Chico, and if you're within a half mile, that counted. And then the other barrier, it was that this requirement that you had to put in parking. You had to, if you converted your garage, you had to put it in. And we all know somebody who's bootlegged a unit, right? I mean, nobody was building legal units. Some of the cities in Fremont, where I'm from, 0 units that were built, and they've got some, Teslas there, there's some money in there, but you go into like Atascadero, they got a state mental, I guess all prisons are now mental health institutions, but this is where the really, really dangerous people are at. $50,000 for your impact fee. You walk in, you say, I'd like to I got a little cottage in the back. Give me $50,000 before you get the construction fee and all the other stuff. This is just the impact. Because cities and counties were looking at that. If you put a second unit, it's like a brand new McMansion. So we got this first bill done, 2017. We saw a lot of production. LA is boasting that they've got, in 2 years, almost 10,000 units that were built. They got a lot of bootleg units in Los Angeles County, like 300,000, right? Nobody gets a permit in LA. They don't walk there. They don't get a permit. It's just a different place. It's not San Diego or the Bay Area. So we kept working. Now, I'm assuming this is a friendly crowd because there are some crowds I go to that hate my guts. You know, the guys that have the regulations that want to get to know, why is this guy Wieckowski doing all these bills to liberalize the laws? You know, we're the local elected people. We want to have the say over what's happening on your property. And I said, well, no, I'm all into local control. I just want to have the homeowner have control, not you guys on the city council. I want to have the local guys. So where are we at right now? We had a whole other group of bills that got passed last year. My buddies in Phil Ting in San Francisco, Richard Bloom in Santa Monica, and Laura Friedman passed some bills basically, you know, allowing, like, homeowners associations can't say it's absolutely prohibited. They have to have, if you live in a homeowners association that looks like a housing tract, but is a homeowners association, they have to go through a process where they would allow you to have some control over your process. Bloom did, I should look at my notes to remember what he did. And Phil Ting did a really fun thing. He allowed people to build 2 units on their property. You can have your garage conversion or your attachment and all these, you know, this is a great exhibit. You can have that done and then you can build a single detached. So as of January 1 of this year, if you're within a half mile of transit, everybody has a right to have a triplex. And we don't call it a triplex because we call it, for definitions, accessory. But essentially, you can build a couple of units onto your house. In the existing neighborhood where you live, it's up to you. And there's plenty of architects and plenty of these guys, builders, that will go ahead and do that. That's not what I bring to the discussion. So I had a bill, SB 13, which is, again, got a lot of people mad, but I tried to look at the other barriers. What is stopping you folks from going out and saying yes, 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 yes to all these people? Well, moolah, baby, money. I mean, if we all had a limited amount of money, we wouldn't be sitting here listening to some creative ideas. We want to figure out how can we build this economically, but get the needs that we want. So SB 13 says, all right, here's another barrier. None of these impact fees, none of this permission to build in your community if it's less than 750 square feet. So I know I saw one designer there that's got like 770 feet, and I said, well, that may be good in Rhode Island, but in California, the beauty is 750, so you pay no impact fees. You are accessory to the mother house. You're no impact fee. And as the construction guy that was up here, that's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, folks. You know, some of you gray hairs here, those were starter homes. I represent an area in Alameda County called San Lorenzo. People think it's a city, but it's not a city, it's just an unincorporated area. They built the first homeowners association in the United States. It's right south of Oakland and the Naval Yard that were there. And they were really mad at me. And we looked at their regular plans when they built these houses in 1946, right after the war. And they have a door on the outside of the second bedroom, or third bedroom. And you're looking at that, you say what it is, and you go into the original plans. You know, some of you construction guys read the original plan. It was designed for servicemen who were in the area, either off the base or single guys. And they said, married couples, if you have an extra room, rent it out to this guy. They were the original ADUs. I said, you guys, I mean, at least in the California tract home world. So part of it, and why I'm here, is to help educate and spread the word to people that this is the area of the law. Another big barrier we took out in SB 13 was the bootleg units. These are the unpermitted. I tried to get amnesty program forever and ever, amen, but I couldn't. They made me do it for 5 years. So now the idea is that if you have a bootleg unit, or you're buying a house, or somebody, we all, when we take our walks, we always know the people that have the unpermitted units. We have 5 years now to bring those, to get them permitted, right? And the language, the magic language that we put in was health and safety. So this does not mean that you have to build it up, bring it up to 2020 code. It just has to be health and safety. And the benefit that the carrot that we gave to cities is that we said that these bootleg units, which are invisible now, count towards these regional housing needs assessment. You'll hear this word RHNA, and every city gets a number of how many housing units they have to build. If this was a group of planners, I'd say RHNA, and they say, ooh, okay, we gotta get it. So if you have these units that don't count, and the state, we're the bad state, we're saying you gotta build these affordable housing units for folks. By design, ADUs are affordable. They're 450 square feet or 600 square feet. They're by design. So that's sort of a benefit. We've got a program now where you can get them approved, and the city gets credit for them. The other barrier, and these are experts. I just don't sit in an auditorium and think this stuff up. You read about it, but you find out what's stopping folks is home ownership. If I owned an apartment complex and I went to rent out all 60 units, I don't have to live in one of them, right? If I have a fourplex or a triplex, I don't have to live in one of the units to rent it out. But some of the cities have put this barrier, says if you have an ADU, you got to either live in the ADU or you got to live in the house. Well, this is nonsense. It's just, again, it doesn't fit the needs of people that may want to do it, even if it's an investment property. So we took that out for 5 years. It's something that's going to have to become permanent. So let me think. Oh yeah, this is, I told you Greg Nicholas with the Housing Community Development gets to review these laws. We also said if the cities or the counties don't take action, that's another little fun thing they do. You just go into this black hole of government. You submit your permit and you never hear from them. We say, after 60 days, it's deemed approved. Done. So now they can't just sit on it. And that was another thing we were talking to folks. I like people to underestimate me. I've sort of been doing it my whole life. So one of the things that we did that nobody caught they didn't catch, because it was, when you do these bills, everybody's so red-faced and mad that they're pissed off. One of the things I did in the bill in 2016 was I said on these local ordinances, these county ordinances, we said if your county ordinance does not comply with the new state law, and now we keep changing the state law, if it doesn't comply with the state law, it's void. Now, I don't believe you guys are lawyers, right? But there's voidable and void. See, voidable means that this paragraph H, paragraph L, paragraph Z, they don't comply, right? Just the parts that don't comply. If you ever went through a divorce, the lawyers are saying, well, if it's against the law, it's only the parts that are against the law. Oh, no, baby elephants. We said the whole thing's out. The whole city ordinance, the whole county ordinance is dead, and you have to comply with state law. That's making friends with you. Yeah, they love me for that. So I'm going to wrap it up. The reason I'm down here and the reason I'm going to be doing a bunch of these things is to raise awareness. People have heard of ADUs now. You guys obviously have, you're here, but we have to raise awareness so that our friends and the community knows. San Francisco Bay Area is on the brink of starting a $4 million publicity campaign to make sure that, because the housing crisis that we have is so acute that we need to find ways to do it. I'm not saying that ADUs are the whole answer, but one by one, we can build them. You know, all these guys are telling you, they're quick, they're a little bit cheaper, they allow people to age in the community. Some of you young people that are here have got zero chance of owning a house in your life. This opens an opportunity where you say, hey, we can buy this house and we can convert this garage into an ADU, and before we have kids, we'll live in the ADU and rent out the house so that we can build up some equity to get to the next move. And today's paper was talking about in the Bay Area, you need $170,000 down payment to buy a house, the average nothing burger, 170 grand, before you start painting it and putting a new roof on it. There's somehow, the JP Morgan partnership, a couple of years ago when we passed the first bill, came up with a couple of grants. Didn't help out San Diego, sorry. Gave some money to Silicon Valley Trust or Valley Home and the LA to try to go through and go in and try to stimulate production and information to get to people. As you can imagine, I'm on a campaign to make sure that one, if the city's ordinances are not in compliance, that the Attorney General sues them and makes sure that they make them in compliance, because we're not playing this ping pong game where you go from planning to zoning to planning to zoning. Try to change the culture so that we have one-day permitting where people can go in and you have some of these architects and some of these people with prefab groups so that the city understands it. So if you come in and you say, Johnny built this ADU, I want this, here's the same plans, I want to put it in my backyard, you're not waiting 59 days. It's like the same day they give you the permit. Having the websites, San Mateo County has an awesome website.